couple of weeks, we witnessed the scenes of Nigerians on TV being reunited with their families and friends. The emotional scenes brought about or made possible by only one man amongst many men. A businessman who's in business like every other businessman to make money, but who sacrificed his primary purpose of business and at no cost, and I dare say at a loss, deployed the use and service or the use of his planes or his aircraft for days to bring back our brothers and sisters who were facing imminent danger in South Africa. Honorable colleagues, this we thought was a feat that should be commended. And we hereby commend Honorable Mr. Oscar Onyema and recommend him to the federal government for higher honors in Nigeria. We will give an opportunity for one or two people to say one or two things. I will also, but before that, I think it is only appropriate for the recipient of this commendation to be given 10 minutes, so that we can better understand what he has been doing in the last 1 week. I am aware, at the first instance, he brought in about 178 Nigerians. I am aware that since then, he's brought in another 320. Perhaps, I think maybe yesterday or the day before, I'm not quite sure. And I'm aware that as we speak today, his aircraft has gone again and bringing in even more Nigerians back home to safety. Mr. Oyema, on behalf of the House and the People's House, I commend you. We appreciate you. We thank you for your commitment, for your patriotism. And we use you as a point of contact to all of the Nigerians, wherever they may be, to emulate this behavior, this conduct, which you have so selflessly exhibited. We will now call on Mr. Allen Onyema to please approach the podium and give us a 10-minute briefing.
Mr. Speaker, the leadership of this august assembly, distinguished members of the 9th Assembly, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Speaker, you've drawn tears to my eyes again. You made me feel so emotional. I've never been so honored in my life. I remember 2 days ago, the Honorable Speaker got my number from one of your colleagues, Mrs. Nkiru Onyejosha, and gave me a call. You will be the first to do that. I was really, really touched. It only challenged me. So even if I didn't come Even if I was not invited to these August chambers today, you had already honored me beyond words. You touched my soul. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This is what we require in this country from leadership. What you've done for me today, we go out there to send a very positive signal to the private sector and to Nigerians and all citizens as a whole, that in that private moment of you taking some decisions that will touch lives of your compatriots, there are people all over the place who will recognize what you've done and give you the necessary support. I thank you all for allowing me to come here to address you this morning. I've never been so honored. Once again, I've never been so honored. It was a spontaneous decision to do this. I didn't do it for any publicity. In fact, I was at the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority where airline operators went to have a meeting with the DG of the NCAA, and I was seeing pictures, gory pictures of my compatriots suffering and being dehumanized in faraway South Africa. And not only that, a whole country was being lampooned and indicted. Everybody was being indicted as long as you're Nigerian. And I felt this should stop. So there and then, I said, I am going to evacuate these people. That was what I told the DG. I want to evacuate these people. Can you give me permission, the landing rights? Because I got the permit to fly into South Africa, to start doing daily flights to South Africa. I know the implications of what I have done. But I don't give a damn if my private purse is affected, as long as my compatriots are saved. I decided to mortgage that permit to be doing daily flights to do this, because I'm not going to go to my grave with my wallet. I've said it several times. I'm not going to go to my grave with the size of my bank account, but I will peacefully see my maker if I know I've left some legacies behind. So I decided to do this. I don't need a penny, I don't need a dime from anybody, and I've never been given any by anybody, not by government, not by anybody. The only thing I demanded from the government of the day was get the High Commission in South Africa to get my countrymen and women together for me to come and move them out of that place in order to restore respect to our dignity as a nation. And I'm very happy to announce to you that that singular act has brought a lot of respect for Nigeria worldwide. You see, I commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari, for the matured way he handled the issue of xenophobia in South Africa in the face of debilitating and very annoying provocation that could make any country to take the wrong decision. But our president showed a lot of maturity in handling the issue. And that deserves a lot of commendation. Some people might say, oh, go in there and kill them, go in there and do this. No, he stepped aside. And the evacuation also couldn't have been possible if the federal government didn't allow me or didn't get those people for me to even evacuate, because I don't live in South Africa. And it's not only me today. The Consul General of the Nigerian High Commission over there, one Mr. Godwin Adama, has not slept in the last 5 days. That man deserves to be applauded. My pilots and the 18 team of APs that went there went on a rescue mission, because in the first instance, South Africa never wanted evacuation to take place. Evacuation, for your information, is not a good thing for any country. It doesn't do any country any good image. But this is a non-violence action we did. It's a non-violence action. We are criminals. We are drug pushers. We are scammers. Okay, allow my people to go. That is why I decided to deploy the 777 to take Nigerians away from that place, to restore our respects as a nation. And that we have already gotten. That is why everybody is going about begging you now and begging Nigeria. It wouldn't have happened if the evacuation didn't take place. The evacuation has helped us. Not only as a nation, it will help other countries too. I'll tell you that xenophobia will die a natural death soon because of this evacuation, because flights are flying half empty to that country, stocks have dropped, And a lot of people are asking questions. Is your country still safe? I can see Nigerians are evacuating. And that was why their government came up to say there was never any evacuation. And where the international press put it to them and said, look, but Nigerians evacuated 187. Actually, it was a Nigerian businessman who owns an airline that sent somebody. Nigerian government never, it's the same still evacuation. And today, as I speak to you, 319 have just checked in. We are bringing them back home. Some of these Nigerians have been stranded in South Africa for over 4 years, and they didn't have money to even buy a flight ticket back. And some of them also feared being arrested for having overstayed their welcome. So this particular thing has helped both South Africa, it has helped both Nigeria. We don't need people who will not represent us well to be out there. So it's a good thing that we are evacuating them. And at the same time, I call on government to look at the plight of those who have lost everything they've worked for. I cried. Why did I weep? When I got into the aircraft to welcome them, somebody was shouting down the aisle that she lost 2 of her children. And the only 2 remaining, she never knew she could come back to Nigeria alive with them again. They had lost hope. So she was saying, God bless you. You're not a human being. You are just God sent. You're not. Then I broke down. That was why I cried. And I'm sure the whole world joined me in crying when they were looking at those pictures. And I want to use this opportunity to thank you once again. I don't want to take most of your time, but to tell you that Air Peace is ready to evacuate Nigerians. We are ready to go into South Africa as long as there is one single Nigerian remaining in that country to be evacuated. And we are doing it free of charge because money is not everything. The kind of support we've gotten from Nigerians through your commendations and everything, it has really gladdened our heart to the extent that my pilots and my cabin crew who are doing this rescue mission, who would always stand out there for 24 hours because they were trying to frustrate us, they didn't want us to evacuate. They pleaded with the Nigerian High Commission not to do it, but they told them, look, we can't stop this private citizen. Those cabin crews stood up for 24 hours because they delayed us for 15 hours before allowing us to do the first evacuation. They came back to Nigeria and refused to take their allowance. They said, this is our own contribution to the nation, Nigeria. In the last 1 week, this country has bonded. In the last 1 week, this nation has bonded. No more Hausa, no more Yoruba, no more Igbo, Amijo, and this. Let me use this opportunity to preach to all of you here, the representatives of our people. Please, let me tell you this. As long as we fight against each other, so long shall we not have a nation. But if we continue to fight for each other, take this for example. If Abdulaziz, the one that gave quit notice, wakes up one morning and goes to Imo State and comes out from Imo and says, look, federal government, the federal roads in Imo State are dilapidated. You must do it. This is somebody from Kano now fighting for people in Imo State. Take, for instance, the IPOB people and even their chief, Nnamdi Kanu, comes up tomorrow and says, the people in the north, they need a lot of water to irrigate their farms. They're into farming. Federal government, you must do something for these northerners. You must do something for people in Zamfara to be able to go to their farms peacefully, to be able to do this. If this is coming crisscross from all over the place, we have a nation. But the situation where we allow ourselves go back to our cocoons and fight for only our own section in a multicultural Nigeria is a recipe for danger. I'll leave you with this. It is only when, and I accept only when, we start fighting for each other as against what is happening now, can we have a nation. I believe in broad nationalism as against ethnic nationalism. I want Nigerians to first and foremost say, I'm Nigerian, like the Americans do. The American nation, excuse me, is the melting point of all ethnic nationalities in the world. You have Hausa America, you have Igbo America, you have Yoruba America, you have Tiv America, you have Anglo America from England, you have Franco Americans from France, you have Russo Americans from Russia. But once they get that passport, what they profess, when you encounter him, the first thing he says is America. When you encounter a Nigerian, the first thing he says, I'm Igbo, I'm Hausa, I'm Fulani, I'm this. This country is blessed. 378 ethnic nationalities, not 250, that made up this country. That is a recipe for strength. Can we decide this day to harness this strength in diversity? Thank you, or God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen Onyema, for your riveting speech. I will now call on one or two members who may need to say or have something to say. Honorable Kiruka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Kiruka Oyejota. I represent the good people of the Squato Umunechi Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, mine is to join you to thank my own brother, Chief Allen Onyema, for restoring the dignity of Nigerians and Nigeria. Because if he didn't do that, maybe somehow South Africans will believe that those Nigerians there do not have a country or anywhere to go to. So we thank you, sir, for that restoration of dignity of our great country. Mr. Speaker, having said this, we can't thank him enough. Thank you, and God bless you. But in saying this, I will add that as long as the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest time shall not cease, according to the Bible in Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. And my Bible also says that whatever you sow, you will reap. And it also says that those who sow in tears will reap in joy. This has taken toll on your staff, has taken toll on your finances, even on the aircraft. But the point is this: you have sowed a seed that sooner or later the harvest time shall come, and God of all grace will replenish and bless you immensely. On this note, on behalf of Nigerian women, on behalf of the Nigerian children, we join our leaders to say thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Jerry.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my name is Jerry Alabos. I'm from Imo State, representing Olo, Osun, and Oruki Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I wonder what I'm going to say again when Chief Barrister Oscar Allen Onyema, I said a lot of things that would elicit tears and sympathy from a lot of us. However, Mr. Speaker, let me join my voice in commending our astute businessman and greater employer of labor in this country. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, Chief Barrister Oscar Allen Onyema is a great employer of labor and a tribalized Nigerian who believes, like he said, in broad patriotism. Mr. Speaker, in his own words, I cannot go to grave with my bank accounts and wallets. Rather, I go to the grave peacefully with my legacies. Mr. Speaker, what Alan Oyema has just done through that rescue mission to South Africa is part of the legacies we are talking about. Mr. Speaker, what Barrister Chief Oscar Allen Oyema is just saying applies to you and me. And that is to say that Alan, and that's to say that in this world, what matters, according to the implication of what I just said about wallet and account, it's not about wealth. Mr. Speaker, it's not about status. Mr. Speaker, it's not about power like we have. It's not about fame like some of us and all of us as members. It's about love. It's about what you have done to better the lives of others. And that's what Zali has done, Mr. Speaker. I therefore join you and the leadership in commending him. Mr. Speaker, he is not going to be his own mirror. He has been doing this. During the militant days, Mr. Speaker, he started transformation and rehabilitation of the militant before the oil companies came, before the government even came. Mr. Speaker, there are a number of people that attended the father's burial. His money, and the sort of father's money was able to send flights to South Africa. The number of mourners and sympathizers that came to his father's burial will not be up to, will be more than people that will go when the president of South Africa dies. That will show you he has paid his dues as a good man. That's why a lot of people attended that burial. Mr. Speaker, even during the vacation period, the South Africa threatened, and he insisted that he would be there. The spirit of a good man. Therefore, I want to commend him through you and your leadership. God bless you. Alan Oyema.
Okay, so we'll take Honorable Bamishile and then the minority leader and the House leader will round up. Honorable Bamishile.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Femi Bamishile, representing Imure, Bonyi, and Ekiti East local government from Ekiti State, the fountain of knowledge. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity given this morning. And I want to join my fellow speakers who have stood up to commend our brother for the very patriotic and generous work he has been able to do and is still continuing to do for Nigeria. I think at this point in time, it is crystal clear that as we all stand to look, we see Nigeria as one. I don't know Mr. Oyema. I really don't want to know him. All we know him to be is a businessman and a very thorough Nigerian. At the adversity that we met in South Africa, he stood up for our people. And this is what I want to implore all of us within this hallowed chamber. As he has rightly said to us this morning, to take this back to our various constituencies and our domain, that Nigeria needs to be one, and we will be one. And this again, I would say to the federal government, in joining with what we said yesterday, I would want to appeal to the federal government to make an example of Mr. Oyema for other Nigerians. He is not the first and the only person who has an aircraft in this country, but he's been able to give what is taken from the system back to the system. And this is why I'm going to be joining the leadership of the House and the members of this House chamber to ask that our brother be bestowed unto him a very laudable award from federal government for this feat that he has achieved amongst all the business people that own aircrafts in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity again.
Thank you. I think the Chief Whip wanted to say something. Chief Whip, I think you were raising your hand.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir. I represent Martin Monguno, Ganzai Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Northeast Caucus of the House.
On behalf of Northeast Caucus.
Yes. On behalf of the Northeast Caucus of the House, I want to seize this opportunity to commend this singular act of patriotism and real display of philanthropy by Mr. Allen Onyema for rising up to the occasion promptly by evacuating Nigerians that were stranded in South Africa as a result of these xenophobic attacks. Mr. Allen Onyema, by the time the history of this country is being written, I know a whole chapter will be dedicated to you, and your name will be written in gold for this singular act of patriotism and philanthropy that you have displayed. I'm not a businessman, I have never been a businessman, but I know people are in business to make money. This singular act entails a lot of sacrifice on your part to venture into this. And not only your name is going to be written in gold, but your reward is going to be in the hereafter because of this service to humanity. And as the late President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, said, as Nigerians, we should always think of what we should give this country, but not what this country will give us. And that is exactly what you have done, and you deserve all the commendation for that single act. Thank you, and more grace to your elbow. Kudos.
Thank you, Honorable Sada Soli.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Sada Soli Jibia, representing Jibia Kaita Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, this is a Nigerian who is more humane than enterprise. He's a businessman, but the business aspect of him could not blindfold him to demonstrate the humane aspect of him. Mr. Speaker, this gives me the confidence that Nigeria is working. This is one individual who could come, restore, and save the dignity of this country in a hostile environment. Mr. Speaker, truly, this man demonstrated and confirmed that he's a brother's keeper. Mr. Speaker, it's not known anywhere in the world. It's not known anywhere in the world where you find evacuation is done by an individual. It's usually a government activity. Exclusively government, it's there in our constitution. But here you have one individual who could keep every other entrepreneurial aspect of his life, commit his resources, commit his integrity in business, and even his opportunities in that country to demonstrate this act of human responsibility. On behalf of my colleagues, I can say that thank you, Chief Nyama. Thank you.
I think okay, the Honorable Ifeanyi is the rep for Chief Onyema. So Honorable Ifeanyi Mama, let's just round up 1 minute, please, so that we can conclude this business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Ifeanyi Moma. I represent Ihiala Federal Constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this great privilege. Indeed, the eulogy on Chief Allen Onyema, personally, I feel it will not be complete if I, who represent his federal constituency, do not stand up to speak of his rare philanthropic gestures. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this is a man that indeed, in Ihiala Federal Constituency, where he hails from, lawyers, there's what we call re ipsa loquitur. The fact speaks for itself. He is someone that has done so much good that the entire people of my federal constituency, they hold him in high esteem. Hence, that is why they all came together and ordained him with a rare chieftaincy title, where he is fondly called Ide, Ide one of Ihiala, because of his rare philanthropic qualities. And indeed, it is very clear that he has taken that gesture, he has transcended it across Ihiala, across Anambra South, across Anambra State, and by extension to the four walls of our country, Nigeria. And now he has also taken it to the diaspora by helping the Nigerians in the diaspora. So indeed, he is a man that has been known from the very beginning as a man of astute goodwill. So it is a huge honor, and with utmost humility, I stand here to similarly thank one of the leaders we have in our federal constituency, Chief Allen Onyema, Ide Ihiala. You're welcome, and thank you for what you have done to the good people of Nigeria, and may God continue to replenish you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Honorable colleagues.
Thank you, Honorable Chris Azubugo.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker, and my respected colleagues. I am Chris Emeka Azubog, Rep. for Nnewi North, Nnewi South, and Ekusigo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, may I also stand here to lend my voice to thank you as the Speaker of the House of Rep, for the leadership and my colleagues for unanimously agreeing to recognize a great man. I was saying that when a man finds courage to do what is right, it is right for all of us to acknowledge the person, because it will become an exemplary act for others to emulate. My brother and friend, Allen, you've done us proud, and our prayer is that God will continue to strengthen you, increase you in wisdom and in strength. For all of us here, lessons have been learned, and I thank you specifically, Mr. Speaker, for the leadership you have shown to acknowledge this, and other people, especially our leaders, who have contributed or have supported this act. We are proud, and we will continue to do things that will make all of us proud. Thank you for the advice you've given to us. You are now challenging us as members of the Parliament of Nigeria to put up those acts that will unite and harmonize our nation and bring about the greater prosperity that we expect, because we are stronger together and we're weaker when we are not together. Thank you, and God bless.
Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I found it emotionally irresistible to continue sitting without passing few points, few remarks. I am Honorable Haruna Dederi, representing R.I. Rogo, Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Kano State. I feel, Mr. Speaker, being a Nigerian and a Hausaman from Kano State in the far north, my comments, though not more important than other comments, but will be special. This one Nigerian is a great man, Mr. Speaker, that we have always known for his contributions to the development of this nation. People may be surprised that he got into this venture of rescuing our people as a first move to show his patriotism. No, he has been like that for a long time. He never knew me, but I know him because I have been following his track of records. This same man was one of the prime movers of the amnesty program in this country in the last administration. People wouldn't know. This same man supported the Almajiri modern education system in northern Nigeria. He gave enormous contributions. I am passionate about the Almajiri education system. That is why I have to bring this to the fore, Mr. Speaker. Not only that, the various activities he engaged in disaster control and management, we need a lot of time to sit down and write them. This one Nigerian is an example of the best in Nigeria. Let me join my other colleagues in commending him. Let me also thank you, Mr. Speaker, for finding it right to commend this gentleman. We thank you so much for the leadership you are giving to this House and by extension to this nation. If all leaders should be like you, Mr. Speaker, where you will identify merit and commend it, I think Nigeria will work the more. Nigeria will do what is expected as a nation of patriots. We thank you, Sir Onyema, for all your efforts. We will continue to pray for you. God will guard and guide you in all your endeavors. You shall succeed in whatever you are going to do. We pray for good health and very, very long life for you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Namdas.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdurazak Namdas. I represent the people of Ganye, Dada, Tongo, Mayo, Belwa. Mr. Speaker, I am from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, actually, I wanted to also resist talking, but like the last speaker, I think after his contribution and the contribution of my colleagues here, have become emotionally irresistible, just like he said. Mr. Speaker, I just want to add a small voice. In view of what the good members said here and the good works of Barrister Onyema, I want to suggest, Mr. Speaker, that the National Assembly do recommend to Mr. President for a national honor for this great Nigeria. I want to recommend that because, Mr. Speaker, Nigeria has been given names. If you go out of the shores of this country, you will realize that a lot of people look at us differently. Today, his action has contributed in rewriting the history. I've not come up with a formal motion, but Mr. Speaker, I'm just, with your kind permission, that I want to move this motion here to recommend for this award of this great Nigeria, so that it can also boost the morale of other Nigerians, including ourselves, so that we can do good for Nigeria. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Well, we are by implication and by fiat, we are suspending our rules. So go ahead and move your motion. So let him move the motion, then we'll get a second.
Mr. Speaker, let me come under Order 8 Rule 4 to suspend our rules. You have done? Okay. Sorry. I want to move Mr. Motion.
Okay. Honorable Namdas, 1 second, so that we'll get it properly organized. I think before we close, yours will be the last when we close the debate. So we'll just get 1 or 2 more contributions. The leaders will round up. Then you will move your motion, and then we can close the debate. Yeah, everybody wants to speak, but it's already 12:30, and that is the fact that everybody wants to say something is a testament itself to the good work that Mr. Onyema has done. I am intentionally not going to that side because you guys, you always have most of the say in this house. So let's maybe we'll give Honorable Bade. We'll do Honorable. Where's Honorable Isiaka? He's gone. Okay, there you are. You change your seat. Honorable Isiaka, Honorable Bade, then the minority leader, and then the House leader, and then we close. Honorable Isiaka, go ahead.
Isiaka, come here and talk.
No. Okay.
This one, man.
Thank you.
That one is not working.
Our one and only quintessential Mr. Speaker with substantial values. I'm Honorable Ibrahim Ayokole Isiaka. I represent the very good people of Ifor Iwekoro Federal Constituency. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker.
Incidentally, Honorable Isiaka, I was reading in the papers, I don't know if that is true, Honorable Onyema, that Ogun State had the largest number of... No, it was in the papers. It was in the papers. I mean, your guys benefited the most from his patriotism. It was written all over. It was in the papers. It only tells you how his goodwill was benefited across board. That's the point I'm trying to make. Across board in this country.
You're very right, Mr. Speaker, and that's why I've been struggling to talk all this while. And more so, that's why I even sent that motion of paper across to you, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know whether Honorable Namdas eavesdropped when I was talking here that my state benefited bountifully from the milk of honey flowing not only in the Chief Onyema's heart, but in his praise. So we are very grateful on behalf of all Nigerians and every other states that have so benefited. As we see the paper in front of you, Mr. Speaker, what I wrote there, if I'm still permitted, and if Honorable Namdas will accept, what I wrote there was that I want to move the motion on this floor in the House. That's what I put across to you. But since you have told him that he should do that, I can second, of course. If I'm if I'm given that privilege. So that's why I passed the paper across that I want to appeal for the resolution of this House to be so adopted and which will be passed on to the President, that this gentleman, this man of honor, this quintessential man with substantial values, this hope of Nigeria today, tomorrow, and the near future should be conferred with one of the highest honors of the land, befitting his status. Being said, Mr. Speaker, the entire members in the House, I want to appeal to you. I cannot tell you to stand up, but from wherever you are seated, 3 times, just help me to say, Chief Oyema, thank you, sir. Can you help me with that? Chief Oyema, Chief Oyema, Chief Oyema. We are very grateful, and thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Badi.
Thank you very much, our able speaker and honorable colleagues. My name is Yakubu Umar Barde. I represent Chukul Kajufera constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, this is a time for me personally to commend you for reaching out to people like Chief Onyema at the time when he needs encouragement from leaders like us. Mr. Speaker, let me take us back to memory lane. I remember in your magnanimity in the 8th Assembly, you brought a cripple here who was qualified into the law school. And we all commended your effort. And many members of this chamber commended you for that singular effort. Today, God has lifted you to a higher pedestal. And it's time for you to lead by example. And what you have just done to Chief Ayema is a pride to members of this 9th Assembly. That our leader will recognize Nigerians who have risen up to the times of need. Like our national anthem says, arise, O compatriots. Mr. Oyema has risen. And Mr. Speaker, what you have done to recognize him, personally, I'm encouraged in the country called Nigeria, because I believe what you have done will serve as impetus to many Nigerians that are there, that have labored, that have been very patriotic, that have served without any expectation of reward, but just to make our country a better country. A country that people will serve with the expectation that they will be recognized, not in terms of money, not in terms of anything, but encouragement. Mr. Speaker, like I said, I'm proud of you for what you have done and all the entire leadership. And I want to call on all of us that as much as we have patriotic Nigerians in our various constituencies, there is need for us to encourage them. We as leaders cannot reach everybody, but words of encouragement, even a phone call, like Chief Ayema said, that even if we were not invited here today, but that phone call has made him proud. Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and I thank our colleagues for allowing Mr. Oyema to come into the chamber and to encourage Mr. Oyema that there are many other things he can do. Today, we know what we are going through in this country, the fight against insecurity. We need every hand to be on deck to help our president and to help everyone that is in leadership so that we overcome this surge of insecurity. Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me to speak on this very, very important occasion, because I'm happy that I lend my voice to encourage one of us, one of the patriotic Nigerians that we have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Finally, before the leaders, Honorable Luke. Honorable Luke, I heard you shouting my name. You want to speak?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it's not from me. I did not mention your name, sir. But sir, if you...
Okay, so you can sit down then. The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anocho Shimbi Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. So, Yema, you know, mine is to thank you. But let me just, with kind permission of Mr. Speaker, tell you something that the Bible has so stated. That whatever you do the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. When I was hungry, you gave me to eat. When I was homeless, you gave me a home. Now enter into the home of our Father. On a more serious note, what you have done, we may be laughing, joking, but that is you. I've known you. You're a very humble man. A man that is very empathic. I could remember when one of our colleagues, his brother, wedded in Calabar. And we got to the airport with many Nigerians. And they beckoned on us that they were going to cancel the flight. I called you. And I said, we have Nigerians here. And your people are threatening that they are going to cancel the flight. And you said no, that it will not happen. You remember? And immediately you said you will call us back. You did call us back and said the flight will take place. So I am not surprised that you did it again by making us proud in South Africa. You're a man of integrity. But let me tell you what you have done to Nigeria. I was coming back at the port of entry. I presented my passport in UK. And the officer said, are you from Nigeria? He said, oh, do you know the FPC? He was trying to, fight over mentioning your name, and I mentioned it. I said, you know what I said? I said, you are my cousin. Mr. Speaker, I said, he's my cousin. And the man said, you're welcome to UK. And he started my, usually they will query you, how long are you going to stay, and or whatnot. But for what you did, that gave me easy passage without much questioning. So, you better not do bad things because you are, I don't even know how to describe you. One, you are completely a gentleman. And I'm sure if we had many women here, they will be after you. But my sister will not allow that. You talk less, but you do more. You talk less, but you do more. And honestly, what you have done has increased our image that is being showcased all over the world. People are proud of you. People are talking about you. Those who couldn't do what you have done are even ashamed of themselves. And they are wishing that they could, but you have overtaken them. Because nobody sold that into your idea. It was your idea, you conceived it with your team, and that showed that people are committed, you are tenacious, you are very resilient. And you have a very strategic way that you do things, in the manner in which you brought this. You told me that you didn't say in your presentation, but one of the key things that made you to cry was that when they entered the aircraft, they started singing national anthem. You said so. And that made you know that they even believe in our country, Nigeria. And that made you to wait. Honestly, Mr. Speaker, I want to also thank you because you recall that when this happened, you were having a conference either in Tanzania or so. You left the conference, got into this country, and decided that the leadership should speak to Nigerians. It takes a man that is empathic, that believes in this nation, that believes in his people to do what you have done. And today, just like my colleague said, you have again demonstrated that you believe in our joint task. On behalf of members of opposition, I want to say thank you to you but most importantly, say thank you to him. But to say, I am proud to be an Igbo man. He has made me so proud that anywhere I go to, I'll be proud to say I am an Igbo man.
Don't forget.
That I'm proud that he's a Nigerian and that he's from Igbo extraction.
No, we don't want to forget. That's what it's
He's a Nigerian born from the eastern part. Mr. Speaker, I don't want that to go away because for obvious reasons, we have been abused, battered, called names as Igbos. But today, in the whole world, an Igbo man is showing that Igbos have the capacity to be empathic, to believe in their country, and to put money aside, exactly. Because like you rightly said, this is a man, whether we like it or not, going to South Africa alone is fueling. It costs money. Getting there and picking these people, they were fed inside the aircraft. And they all felt very comfortable. Nobody funded them. It was not government, it was nobody, but just what God has given to him. And that is what I cherish about what he's done. I don't want to overbore us with so much speech because it's not for speech making, but mine is to say we are proud of you. And I can tell you that you are unstoppable. And if I can read from Psalm 37, it said, Lord, by thy favor, thou hast made my mountain stand strong. You have made the mountain of those Nigerians stand very strong. And God will never forsake you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Minority Leader. Before we go to, well, indeed, Chief Oyema, you are indeed a great man. When the whole Minority Leader, and I guess a scion of the Elumelu family, uses your name to lie to enter the United Kingdom, and says that you are his cousin. That shows that you are indeed a great man. I have been strongly appealed to, before we call the Majority Leader, there's one of our colleagues, Julius Pondy. I'm sure you know him. He has a story, a little anecdote, a story to tell about something you did to him. I don't know what it is. I just got that information as Honorable Pondy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable colleagues. My name is Julius Babus of Pondy. I represent the very wonderful people of the Federal constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm an young man from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to also add my voice to all the good things that have been said about my brother, my big brother and friend, Barrister Allen Oyema. It will be discomforting for me if I do not say a word and Barrister Allen walk out of this place if I do not have the opportunity to speak. It will be very sad. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving the opportunity to speak. Mr. Speaker, I come in contact with Barrister Allen Oyema in 2005 when he was operating a non-governmental organization, Foundation for Ethnic Harmony in Nigeria. Then the struggle, the agitations in the Niger Delta was at its peak. On his own, what he was doing at the time was trying to bring out young men from the creeks to embrace peace, trying to explain to them that the use of arms is not the way to go. Mr. Speaker, I was in the creeks. I still belong to the creek. I am a proud member of the creek. A militant is that I'm here, but just that I'm now a law-making militant. Mr. Speaker, he had that non-governmental organization to train the militants. What was he doing at the time? He trained first batch in Lagos, Akodo in Akodo, in affiliation with the University of Rhode Island. I attended the first batch of it, and the second stage was in South Africa. I went with him to South Africa, and I was trained there. Not only me, so many of us. And the third phase of that is in the US itself. So again, I flew alongside my big brother to the United States of America and was arrested in the airport because I was labeled a militant. We were 12 in number. In fact, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, about 10 minutes when the plane would land, the pilot announced that there's going to be an unusual check in the airport. Behold, Mr. Speaker, I was the usual person in the aircraft. I was arrested and I was kept there. And Mr. Yeman refused to leave the airport because I was being held in the airport. He stayed. I was detained there till the next day and was sent back to Nigeria. In fact, at this I said, just go with the other people. I know the problem for which I'm being arrested. I will be sent back to Nigeria tomorrow, no problem, they won't kill me. So I returned to Nigeria the next day. With the stigma of being a militant, and I asked them in the airport, the Homeland Security people, that beyond being a militant, then that I've done wrong. Because even as I'm here, I'm very proud that at some point in time, I was a part of the people that take a fair share of our resources in this country. Mr. Speaker, I returned from the US. US wrote me a letter that you don't come close to the airport again. I said, no problem, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, after finishing that stage, he now employed me on temporary basis to also go and teach. Train the trainer, go and train for him. So I went with him to South Africa. Again, I landed successfully, but after my program, when I landed in Nigeria here, I was arrested around after 8 again. And Vice Allen refused to leave the airport until around after 1 p.m. in the night until I was released. 1 a.m. in the night, on the morning before I was released. That is the character of the man that is seated here in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, when in 2010, His Excellency, the former President of Blessed Memory, Nigeria Adua, proclaimed the amnesty, about 70 to 80%, if not more, of all the 30,000 militants that were proclaimed to be amnesty at the time were all trained by that same organization that is called the Foundation for Ethnic Harmony in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Allen Oyema is a big name as long as not only in the Niger Delta, but it's more prominent in Niger Delta because that is where he did all major of his exploits. I'm here, I'm happy that I'm given the opportunity to say a word or two of this man. I was in his father's burial. When I saw the caliber of person that were there, some of them could not even work very well, but because they value his relationship, they value his contribution to this country, they attended. Mr. Speaker, I want to join everybody in this house. This is the act of the Nigerian people to thank Mr. Oyema, Allen, Chief, that you have done well. I'm a living testimony of everything that you've done. Today, I'm in this green chamber. I'm a ranking member in this green chamber, very ranking member in this green chamber, because at some point in time, you were also part of the formation stage in my life, and I thank you for that. Honorable members, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm grateful. And Mr. Allen, for what you've done by evacuating all Nigerians are in trouble in South Africa. You have once again showed the strong character that is in you. There are people that are more godly than you in this country that own private jets, that own fleet of aircraft. None of them have summoned that courage to say that the people that are dying in this Africa, some of them are, most of them are Christians. They worship in those churches, but none of them have done that. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Alan Oyema. I'm going to say that you are a great man and protect to judge you correctly when the time comes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, my distinguished colleagues, members of the House of Representatives. Once again, I'm Honorable Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa, representing Dogwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency. My distinguished colleagues, I'm from Kano State. Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, let me start this way. In most cases, when matters like this come up, with due respect to my colleagues, members of the leadership, and with due respect to my colleagues, members of these great chambers, ideas like this normally come up from the bottom to top. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your foresight. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your wisdom in respect of this matter under discussion. I want to say without any fear of contradiction that this is an idea that came up straight from your head. It didn't come up from the bottom. It was never discussed even in the body of principal officers meeting. It came into your head and you just consulted us. All of us agreed that this is a fantastic idea. It's not because none of us was interested in what he did. We were all interested and we knew he was doing the right thing. He did a good thing, a philanthropist, a patriotic Nigerian. But it never occurred to any one of us that we can honor this gentleman, this great Nigerian this way. And he has confessed it here, that he has never been so honored. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this decision. And by this your singular decision, what we are doing today, is like we are encouraging other Nigerians to emulate this selfless patriotic exhibition of statesmanship as exhibited by Chief Onyema. Mr. Speaker, I think what you did was further portrayed by the position of the minority leader, Ndudi Elumelu, whose fundamental responsibility here on the floor of the House is to oppose whatever comes up here as an opposition leader. What he has today said, what you have brought up here for discussion, is worthy of his support. Mr. Speaker, what we are doing today is recognizing a complete gentleman. What we are doing today, Mr. Speaker, is giving honor to whom that deserves our honor. I must say it clearly, Mr. Speaker, that this gentleman has manifested and exhibited himself as a selfless businessman. Someone who keeps to himself the interest of Nigeria even against the interest of his business organization. Mr. Speaker, permit me to also put it this way, that if for whatever reason, if we call and charge the people of the military the responsibility of keeping the territorial integrity of this country, we look up to the military to save the lives of Nigerians. And for that reason, we call them officially lieutenant colonels, generals. Mr. Speaker, I think without any fear of contradiction, and with the support of members of this floor, I can rightly say we have General Chief Onyema in the private sector. General Chief Onyema in the private sector. Because what he did was an exhibition of selflessness, risking his business interest to save the lives of Nigerians in the face of war. Because this xenophobic attack, this xenophobic unfortunate development happening in South Africa, for me, it has no barrier whatsoever. It's like a war. Onyema, you saved Nigerians in the face of war. Chief Onyema, you saved Nigerians from the face of embarrassment and disappointment. And I think what we are doing today as a house of Nigerian people is like we are doing on behalf of the
360 federal constituencies of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to say a very big thank you, like every other speaker has said. And I hope other business people like you will emulate from this very selfless example you have exhibited. Mr. Speaker, I must confess that what he has done is uncommon. What he has done is very unlikely of the private sector. And I hope if Nigerians could continue to emulate from this exemplary exhibition of selflessness, I believe Nigeria will have a long way to go in really putting ourselves together and bringing about unity and cohesion among the different ethnic diversities we have in the country. Mr. Speaker, I want to say on behalf of all members of the House of Representatives, and by extension on behalf of the federal government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably led by President Muhammadu Buhari, a very big thank you, very big kudos. We salute you, we salute your family, and God will continue to bless you and bless your family and bless your business. Mr. Speaker, I want in the end to say that for this selfless display of selflessness you've done, Mr. Speaker, I want to give him my commitment. And by extension, I will urge my members here on the floor that for this very selfless service he has rendered to Nigerians, that from today, when Honorable Alhassan Ado Dogwa will have cause to fly, Air Peace Nigeria will be my priority. It is my hope that all other members here will keep it as a commitment that anytime, Paleke, you want to travel to Lagos, Air Peace must be your first priority before any other flight, any other airline. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I thank this gentleman, and on behalf of all Nigerians, we thank you. May God continue to bless you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and that's my take.
Thank you very much, Leader. So now we'll quickly take Honorable Namdas' motion. Honorable Namdas, you have a motion to move?
Yes, sir. Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdurazak Namdas. I represent the good people of Ganye, Jada, Tongo, Mayo, Belwa. I am from Adamawa State. The Speaker, I have a motion, and the motion is on the need for the federal government to give Barrister Onyema a national honor. Mr. Speaker, the House knows that Barrister Onyema, an astute businessman, was the gentleman that evacuated hundreds of Nigerians from South Africa during the recent xenophobic attacks, which left several Nigerians dead and many others injured, with several others also losing their properties. Aware that Onyema did not collect a single penny from government or any individual to repatriate helpless Nigerians. Also aware that none of his family members is directly affected by the xenophobic attack that compelled him to go to South Africa. Rather, his human feeling and the feeling of patriotism moved him to take this very action. Mr. Speaker, the House do resolve to urge the federal government to honor Barrister Onyema with a national honor so that he can continue to do his wonderful works and encourage other Nigerians to do so. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, let me cue also onto the second one. Then the National Assembly members should also make Air Peace their official. But sorry, sir. Mr. Speaker, make the national honor, and I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Isiaka, you want to second the motion?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members. My name is once again Honorable Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka sorry, not Oyema. I forgot, I wanted to add Oyema to my name. I am from Ifoewekuro Federal Constituency. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker. For all what has been said, I rise, Mr. Speaker, to second the motion as ably moved by Honorable Namdas. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, honorable colleagues. Clerk, please can you immediately get a letter to my office, a letter of commendation from the House, so we can get it across to Airpeace and to Mr. Onyema. And the resolution of the House recommending him for national honors also be transmitted immediately to the President. Thank you very much. Mr. Onyema, thank you very much for your time. Once again, thank you for your commitment. Thank you for showing the spirit, the Nigerian spirit. You may take your leave. Thank you. Honorable colleagues, let's be seated. Honorable colleagues, can we please take our seats? Honorable Henry. Honorable Francis. Honorable colleagues, the day is far but very well spent. We might abridge the order paper, but we'll take a couple of matters of urgent public importance before we go to the first order of the day. Honorable Professor Julius Yonvere.
Mr. Speaker, rise under 8.41, matter of urgent public importance. To present this motion on the urgent need to investigate the act of negligence in the handling of the Process and Industrial Development Limited transaction by the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, respectively. Mr. Speaker, I would like to invoke under 8.4 and other relevant sections for us to suspend our regular rules to enable me to take this motion. I so move. Thank you.
Sorry, any seconder, please? Honorable Kiruka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Kiruka Onyejoch. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by Prof. I so second.
Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Prof.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I am Honorable Professor Julius Ihovere, representing the good people of Owan Federal Constituency in Edo State. Motion on the urgent need to investigate the act of negligence in the handling of the Process and Industrial Development Limited transaction by the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, respectively. The House notes that the recent judgment debt of $9.6 billion with daily interest accruing by commercial courts in the United Kingdom against Nigeria in a matter between Process and Industrial Development Limited leaves a very sour taste in the mouth.
Honorable colleagues, this is a very, very important motion of urgent public importance that Professor Hiobere is moving. I would plead that we all be attentive to listen to his motion. It's on the front burner in Nigeria today, and I think we should pay attention. Thank you. Please take your seats.
Note also that for a country with a foreign reserve of only $45 billion and a sovereign debt profile of over $80 billion, this judgment debt is not only punitive but would devastatingly affect the Nigerian economy. Aware of the fact that Nigeria has a penchant for disregarding the sanctity of contracts and terms of agreement, coupled with the failure of Nigeria's representatives in most cases to carefully or diligently scrutinize agreements they sign, knowing that the consequences will affect past and future generations. Aware also that Nigeria has entered into a gas supply and processing agreement with the P&ID Limited in January 2010 through the Ministry of Petroleum Resources with the understanding that Nigeria will supply natural gas, wet gas at no cost through a government pipeline to P&ID's production facility, while P&ID in return will construct and operate the facility, process the wet gas, and return to the government of Nigeria lean gas for generation of power at no cost also. Further aware that 2 years down the road, P&ID has not built any gas plant to which Nigeria could supply wet gas processing, signifying in the first place that the move to arbitration was opportunistic and grossly self-serving, cognizant of the fact that the matter went before an arbitration tribunal under the rules of the Nigerian Arbitration and Conciliation Act 2004, with London, England as place of arbitration, and affirming its jurisdiction in the matter, the tribunal began hearing to determine whether or not there were regulatory predatory breach of contract. At this point, there was an attempt by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources to reach a settlement agreement with P&ID Limited to the tune of $850 million.
Honorable members, please resume your seat. This is a very important motion that we are taking. The speaker should not be distracted, please. Honorable Koko, Honorable Kalu, please resume your seats.
All right, I go on, Mr. Speaker. Alarmed that the agreement was somewhat shrouded in secrecy and as such apparently dubiously procured, as those who ought to know about its existence did not, and more importantly, the relevant laws in Nigeria for the transaction to be consummated was not applied. Part 4 of the Bureau of Public Procurement Act 2007, which deals with the fundamental principles of procurement. Further alarmed that it took the new government more than 4 months to respond to the vital arbitration judgment of about $6 billion, with a ridiculous excuse that there had been a change of administration in Nigeria, and the ministers, including the Attorney General, had only just been appointed, thus asking for an extension of time to act on the outcome of the arbitration tribunal. Alarmed that rather than engage P&ID in the matter before the tribunal with robust legal arguments and interpretations, Nigeria was busy shopping for a favorite forum to plead a case in a court in Lagos, Nigeria. Worried at the lack of diligent prosecution of cases in which Nigeria is involved by those whose duty it is to do so, is due to a tendency to either politicize everything or focus more on personal interests or failure on the part of all parties involved. Observe that Judge Butcher J., the judge in the matter, in his August 16, 2019 ruling, made heavy weather out of the several acts of omission on the part of Nigerian authorities, especially when he noted, and I quote, "The Federal Republic of Nigeria has remedies for many procedural unfairness, but did not utilize them," unquote. Nigeria could have objected to the procedural order number 12 or questioned the final award. In the words of the judge, quote, "He did neither, and the time for doing so is long past," unquote. These are serious indictments of the competence and gross negligence displayed by our representatives, agents, arbitrators in this matter. Further observe that this embarrassing judgment exposes
Honorable Mike, please resume your seat.
Exposes a deep decay in our governance and leadership structure with far-reaching implications for the credibility of the country's capacity to handle business and legal. Resolves to, 1, mandate the House committees on justice and petroleum resources and other related committees to, as a matter of urgency, invite both ministers involved and other officials of the ministries saddled with the responsibility to negotiate the agreement with P&ID and the prosecution of the matter before the tribunal, to give situational reports on the matter and explain the lapse in judgment of time and due diligence in the mishandling of the case with a view to finding lasting solutions to the avalanche of extant and future cases. Recommend appropriate sanctions where necessary without fear or favor or preference for status in line with order 14 of the standing rules of this House. Initiate a process for reviewing all agreements and treaties signed by Nigeria through the appropriate committees to create opportunities to discover anomalies and avoid a repeat in the future. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, second level. Honorable Omeji.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Chukuma Umoji, representing the good people of Agwata Federal Constituency. I am from Anambra State. I rise to second the motion as moved by my honorable people. I say second, Mr. Speaker.
Are those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Prof, you may lead the debate.
Mr. Speaker, this is a motion that calls for investigation. So I suspect that the appropriate will be for us to refer it to the relevant committee. But if we want a debate on it, I am prepared, fully prepared. Yeah? This is a debate. Mr. Speaker, sir, we said it is a motion calling for investigation. But if you want us to debate it, I think we're...
Yes, I think even though it's investigative, I think the nature of the motion or the substance of the motion requires to add some flesh to it and some debate. It's on the front burner. We need to talk about it. So go ahead and just take 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of us in this chamber know the state of the Nigerian economy. Some of us here have suffered greatly. Some of us here are under pressure daily from our constituents. Some of us here have tried to even get some facility from banks to run businesses without success. The issue we are raising in this motion, we are not looking at the issue of jurisdiction, whether the case ought to have been in London or in Nigeria. We are not looking at the question of attachment, whether the court that ruled actually had the authority to so do. We are not looking at whether the P&ID breached the contract in the first place because it did not use any gas facility to which Nigeria will supply wet gas, so that going to court was opportunistic. We are not looking also at whether Nigeria surrendered its immunity in this case. Neither are we looking at whether the issue of sovereignty, national sovereignty that is involved, and to what extent a judgment could be given in London, and a motion also moved that there could be an attachment of the properties, our assets belonging to the country. What we are looking at actually is how did this happen? Who was involved in this business that has led to this quagmire? Adeni wrote an article recently and said that nobody in the hierarchy of the Yar'Adua government knew anything about this contract with P&ID. We also have seen an article recently classifying the character involved in this business as a shady character who was involved in running from one ministry, one government to the other, entering into deals that he will not execute in order to lay claims of breach. Mr. Speaker, our country is in trouble. $9 billion is almost 35 trillion naira. We know what that can do for education, what it can do for security, what it can do for health services. Our rural areas all across the country are in their need of basic needs, but we can't provide them. We say there is no money. But now, a court has hung $9 billion, almost 35 trillion naira on our necks. Our call is to investigate this, to find out who were the characters who went into this deal. Did they carry out due diligence? And the prosecution, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Justice, how could a permanent secretary inform a court that are ruled against the country that they could not respond or do anything because ministers have not been appointed? It's an insult to the integrity of the officials in a particular ministry. And the permanent secretary involved with that, we need to investigate how come, what is going on in the ministry. Mr. Speaker, there are hundreds of other agreements like this. And in our standing orders, there is provision that these agreements should be brought to the National Assembly to be vetted. This is never done until when the consequences. We know also there are other hanging agreements with Mambila. There are some with global infrastructure where we breached agreements or we refuse to comply with the terms of an agreement. And at the end of the day, we are running from pillar to post, hiring lawyers abroad, paying them heavily just to see if we can survive a problem we have created with our own hands. Mr. Speaker, finally, unless we investigate this matter deeply, we find out the characters and actors and the institutions involved, we try to save the name of our country. We don't even have the foreign reserves enough to pay off this kind of debt at once. And when they move against us, it will be very, very embarrassing. Interest is accruing daily on that $9.6 billion. Mr. Speaker, this is an urgent matter, a serious matter. I think the House should take it as it is. Thank you so much.
Who? Yes, I was looking for any contribution. Honorable Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Benjamin Okezie Carlo. I represent the good people of Ben, the Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the mover of this motion, who has also led a very good debate on the all-important issue before this nation. It is very timely, because if we remain quiet about it, it will seem as if we do not care. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, having listened to him very well, I agree with all the propositions of this particular motion, as well as the content of the debate. The only area I have a little problem with is the issue of the joint committees being set up to handle this that needs an urgent attention. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, in my thinking, I believe that rather than go to a joint committee at this point, maybe the House should consider amending, the proposal of the motion should consider amending the prayers to read setting up an ad hoc committee of about 10 people to immediately discharge of this function before the 30th, which this House has set as when the ad hoc committees will wind up and hand over to the committees. This way, I believe, the bureaucracies will be very little and we'll be able to fast forward the solutions that we desire with regards to this motion. That is my position, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable Bamidele.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Bamidele Salam. I represent the fantastic people of Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore, Ejigbo Federal Constituency of Osun State. Mr. Speaker, I also want to add my voice to that of the mover of the motion and those who have spoken in support of the need for this House to diligently and expeditiously look into the issues surrounding this death judgment that was obtained against the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But in supporting the motion, Mr. Speaker, I also want to raised the fact that we have a responsibility as a parliament to ensure that the laws that are passed by this house, motions passed by the house, are not just, treated anyhow at the level of implementation. Every country is governed by laws, and contractual obligations are governed by the principles in the laws of contract nationally and internationally. And I'm sure from the little that I have read in the media about events which led to this very unfortunate judgment being obtained against the country, that there must probably have been some lapses at the level of the executive, right from the administration that initiated the contract that eventually went bad. As much as we need to focus our attention on finding out what went wrong and trying to see how we can mitigate the situation, I think it is more important for us to find a means of ensuring that there is no repeat of such going forward as a country. Every single day, as a government, as business entities, we enter into contracts. And we are meant to obey the terms of the contract we enter into. But where, unfortunately, contracts are awarded or entered into without due regard to international best practices and without due attention to details as well as the best interest of the country, you have situations like this arising. So my point, Mr. Speaker, is that while I support that we have a body, just as suggested by my friend Honorable Ben Kalu, of members of the House of Representatives to investigate what went wrong, we should also, in whatever we're going to do, ensure that we bring forward measures to prevent a future occurrence. If there are lacunas in our laws that the parties involved here exploited, we should find a way of amending those laws. If there are administrative, negligences that resulted into this, we should identify those who are responsible, whether they are in or out of government, and take stern actions and measures within the ambit of the law against them, and of course put in place mechanisms that will prevent this happening going forward. That is my submission, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Koko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My respected colleagues, I remain Shehu Koko. I represent Koko Bese Mayema. Mr. Speaker, I am from Kebbi State. Mr. Speaker, sir, respected colleague, I rise to add my voice into the debate with regard to the definite judge. Mr. Speaker, contract had entered. Arguments must be abided by. Government functions, government go. And there must be compliance, there must be an agreement compliance on any contract entered, either nationally or internationally. Mr. Speaker, I strongly agree with the amendment made by Honorable Ben that the House should constitute an investigative ad hoc committee to look into the matter. Who goes wrong, from which side, what really happened. Nigeria needs to know what really happened. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, those who refuse to do what they are supposed to do, they should be brought back to book, and Nigeria should know what really happened. On what Honorable Professor said, really something happened somewhere, but Nigeria needs to know what really happened. Who is at fault? What really happened? 9.something billion is not a joke. They are trying to take our foreign reserve from the judgment debt. But what really happened we want to know, Nigeria needs to know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Moji.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Honorable Chukuma Umoji is my name, representing the good people of Agwata Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I want to join the debate by pointing out that this is a very serious issue. That if care is not taken, one day we wake up to see that somebody has signed up the sovereignty of this nation. It's very painful that it is coming at a time when we are borrowing to finance our budget. And then our foreign debt is increasing, we don't have sufficient funds. We're also trying to know how we can increase VAT and taxation to muster enough money to finance the budget we have in the nation. And then we are now having to deal with the issue of a judgment debt of $9 billion. That's a very heavy amount. And if care is not taken, and if there is no adequate investigation, and if there is no punishment for such infractions, grievous things will still happen in future. We recount how somebody clandestinely submitted Nigeria to the International Judicial Court for the Green Tree Agreement. Because of the outcome of that judgment, we lost the Bakassi Peninsula. Because Nigeria had an option not to have joined, not to have submitted itself to the International Court. So this is another example of somebody misleading the nation into signing on behalf of Nigeria an agreement that we are even beginning to discover that the company in question has no known address. So if proper investigation is conducted, I think a lot of things will be unraveled. And then we move for a decisive punishment to form a deterrent for future infractions. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion and also support the setting up of the ad hoc committee. But this is a cancerous problem that we need a very immediate solution. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. The whip, Honorable Mongono.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I remain Mohamed Tahir Mongono. I represent Martin Mongono Ganzai, Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I adopt the submissions made by the Honorable Professor, the sponsor of this motion, and wish to further add that in view of the controversy and the secrecy involved in the execution of this contract, as rightly averred in the body of the motion and then the prayer sought for, there is need for an investigation of this matter with a view to unraveling the issues concerning this matter. But I want to also wish to further add that in view of this act of omission or commission that led to Nigeria incurring this judgment debt, there is a need on the part of us as a country or as a government for diligent prosecution of all cases involving government, so that we will not be taken unawares and then will be landed into this unfortunate scenario. 9.6 billion naira, dollars, is not a small amount of money. It's going to do a lot of good for this country in view of our infrastructure deficit that we have in this country. So there is a need for diligent prosecution of all cases involving government so that we will not be in this type of circumstance. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Luke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Onofio Luke is my name. By the grace of God, with the support of my people, I speak for the people of Etinan, Nsetibo, Nsurubium Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, while we were on recess, two issues were in the front burner, and these issues were begging for questions, begging for answers from Nigerians. These issues were discussed in our broadcasting houses. We had editorial comment about these issues. One was the xenophobic attack of Nigerians and other Africans in South Africa. And the other one is the issue that has been captured today by that motion raised by Professor Julius Ihonvere. Mr. Speaker, the taking of these issues goes to show that this House, under your leadership, had lived to the promise of being on the side of Nigerians and always sharing in the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians in addressing the issues that bother them daily. Mr. Speaker, $9.6 billion would put a hole in our foreign reserve. $9.6 billion would put a hole in our economy in a time like this that we are borrowing to be able to service our budget deficit. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue raises so many questions that I believe that only an investigative panel that will be able to answer or lead to us answering these questions. Number one, Mr. Speaker, did PNIDL play their own part in the performance of this contract? We all know for a foreign company to be able to come into the country to execute any contract or to do any services, they must be able to import capital. Has there been evidence of capital importation by PNIDL into this country? And is there any certificate of capital importation into this country? Those are the questions that is one of the questions that the investigative panel should be able to answer. Mr. Speaker, of what right does a minister of petroleum or anybody acting on his or her behalf has to enter into a concession contract on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria without the resolution of the board of NNPC or the Federal Executive Council approval or the approval of Mr. President? I believe that this is another question that an investigative panel of this House will be able to answer without prejudice to the effort of the federal government in pursuing every legal means to make sure that these matters are being resolved. Mr. Speaker, finally, this issue calls to question the need and the urgency for us to look again into the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. Because I believe that if we were to have this law in place, we would have revolutionized contract award in the oil and gas industry. Mr. Speaker, this controversy or this court case has had a reputational problem for our country. Now we are painted, without knowing the true side of the story, we are painted as a country who does not keep to her contractual obligation. Mr. Speaker, I believe that this House, through that investigative panel, coming out with the truth would be the image launderer, would be in the position to be able to clear the image of Nigeria by coming out with a true position. Mr. Speaker, with this point and with this position, I submit that it is good for us to have an investigative panel. But I would suggest, sir, that we have a joint committee of this House. Instead of having an ad hoc committee, we can put together the Committee of Petroleum Upstream with Committee on Justice together to be able to look into this matter. And I believe that we will have this, I mean Committee on Justice. Committee on Justice, not judiciary. Committee on Justice, sir, to be able to look into this matter. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I believe that at the end of it all, the committee would bring a clear position whether this company was a portfolio company, whether there are people who are behind it, and then whether this contract was actually entered into validly by the federal government of Nigeria. Those are my humble submissions, Mr. Speaker. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Ben Rolands Igba.
Honorable Ben, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like I said, I'm Honorable Ben Rolands Igba. I represent Ethiopia East and Ethiopia West, and by the grace of God, we are from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, this issue has to do with patriotism. Patriotism put to test. Government is continuum. There's no time we have a lacuna in government. When one leaves, another enters. Mr. Speaker, we have the Ministry of Justice, we have the Ministry of Petroleum, and I'm very sure these two organs of government are supposed to stand and protect what we are now asking for. There is no time for a country like Nigeria to sit and see $9.6 whopping billion leave our reserve. The Naira is already suffering. And if that leaves our reserve, it shows that it will affect the Naira the more. Mr. Speaker, I asked a question, where have we got it wrong as a nation? Our people will go to other countries to seek greener pasture. Xenophobia will push them back. Our economy is being attacked. Attacked because there is negligence somewhere. Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support this motion, believing that if the two committees work together, we will bring out the best and the truth will unfold. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we must not be allowed, the world must not see us as going into an agreement that we cannot stand. If we draw out an agreement, we are people that respect agreement. But what some persons has done, as far as this issue is concerned, is because certain persons, we've been reading newspapers, they are top individuals in Nigeria. Some persons collected money. Some persons who understand our laws better exploited our own internal mechanism to guide P and ID. And I think it is not just those in government. There are people, there are Nigerians, who knows the law, who knows where to exploit. And those persons should equally be invited to tell their own part of the story. Because I believe, in terms of law for the country, in terms of legitimacy, I think I hold allegiance to our country. And anybody that does not owe allegiance to our country should be punished because you have not sought and you have not gotten the citizenship of another country. Mr. Speaker, this is my take on it. I am in full support, but it should be done beyond the Ministry of Justice, who is supposed to defend the nation in our courts. It's also not just the Ministry of Petroleum, who went and signed the agreement, whichever way they sign it, but top and influential Nigerians that know about them should equally be invited and ask their own role as far as this saga is concerned, because 9.6 billion is no joke to leave our reserve. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Honorable colleagues, I think we can put the question, but before then, I believe there was an amendment by Honorable Ben in terms of making this an ad hoc committee. And if I can just lend my voice, this is a very, very important issue. By the time we have 2-3 committees as a joint committee, because public procurement, there's also a public procurement issue in this whole thing. We're talking about 100 people, 100 members. That might be a bit of a problem. This issue needs no more than 12, 13, at best 15 members to do a thorough job, cutting across all those committees. So I will plead with members that we'll set up an ad hoc committee to look at this particular matter that has been on the forefront. It touches on petroleum, it touches on finance, it touches on public procurement, it touches on so many other committees. So, Honorable Ben, if you can move your amendment.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Benjamin Okeze Carlo. I represent the good people of Ben, the Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. I wish to move that the first prayer of the motion on the PID read as follows. Be amended to read as follows. That an ad hoc committee be set up to look into the issues as raised in the body of the motion. I so move.
Honorable Koko, you want a second?
We are done.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Koko. I represent Koko, Bese, Mayaba, Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kebbi State. I rise to second the motion, the amendment heavily moved by Honorable Ben. I so second, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Duku, you have a...
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my highly respected colleague. I would like to move under Order 8 Rule 4, present a matter of urgent public importance, and I feel it's important, and we suspend our rules to allow me to take the motion. The motion is on the devastating effect of flood that affected my entire constituency. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? It's a motion on flood in Gombe, in Honorable Duku's constituency. Any seconder? Honorable, okay, Yobe, you have flood. Honorable Galadima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My distinguished honorable colleagues, I remain Zakaria Galadima, a member representing the people of Bede Jakusko. I am from Yobe State, and I stand at this point second the motion as ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Aisha Jibril Duku. I so second.
Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Aisha.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my highly respected colleagues. I am Honorable Aisha Jibril Duku, Yimbiel Duku, member representing the for the Federal Constituency. I come from Gombe State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House notes that due to torrential rain experienced in the recent weeks, the towns of Duku, Nafada, and neighboring villages of Duku and Nafada local government areas of Gombe State have been ravaged by flood. The House is aware that many buildings and farmlands have been submerged. Many buildings have collapsed and several others completely wiped out, and properties worth millions of naira have been washed away. Further notes that the flood has cut off several access roads within the two local government areas, thereby making it difficult for people to move from one area to another. Also note that the flood has destroyed Trunk A Road linking Gombe, Yobe, and Bauchi states. Concerned that if an urgent action is not taken to arrest the situation, the economic and social security of the people in these communities may face inherent danger of being adversely affected and may be severed from other communities. Worried that flood water has opened up even graves in a cemetery in Nafada town, exposing corpses buried therein. Disturbed that failure or delay in arresting this situation could cause outbreak of diseases and further destroy lives and properties beyond what is envisaged. The House do hereby resolve to urge NEMA to provide immediate assistance to the victims. 2, urge the Federal Ministry of Works to reconstruct the roads and bridges because they are from A. 3, urge FEMA to refurbish the road as an immediate intervention on the affected points on the roads. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Gideon Gwedi. I come from Kaduna State. I represent Kaura Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable.
Thank you. It's an infrastructural motion, so we're not going to go into any debate, but before we put the final question, we've had several floods all over. So many people are bringing in motions on flood as it affects their various constituencies. So I think if somebody can move an amendment to the prayer so that it will not just be talking about your constituency alone, but include other constituencies that are affected. Otherwise, we'll keep getting motion after motion after motion on various, on the issue of flood in various areas. So if we can make it all encompassing and comprehensive. So the motion was brought by the Honorable from Gombe, but she will gladly accept in her prayer that her constituency be looked at together with other constituencies. I think that's the way we should go about it. Honorable Henry.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Honorable Henry Wauba, representing the enterprising people of Mbitolu Ikeduru Federal Constituency of Imo State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I rise to raise an amendment to the motion to raise an amendment to one of the resolutions on the motion raised by my...
It's a prayer. There's no resolution yet.
A prayer. An additional prayer. Beg your pardon, Mr. Speaker. An additional prayer to say or state that using her motion as a point of contact to all other flood-related motions in Nigeria at this time, that we adopt the prayers in her motion to cover all the other motions that have to do with the same topic. I so move.
Thank you. Any seconder to that amendment, please? You want to second is, do you have flood in your area too? Okay, go ahead.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir, my dear colleagues, honorable members, my name is Honorable Babangida Alasan Abdallah, representing Dala. I am from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably forwarded by Honorable Member. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Motion seconded. I'll put the question. Those in favor of the amendment to cover all other areas affected by flood, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the first order of the day is a commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to repeal the Export Prohibition Act, Cap E 22, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters standing in the names of Honorable Mohammed Tahir Mongono and Honorable Benjamin O. Kila. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read for the first time on Thursday, 4th July 2018. I now invite Honorable Mongono to move that the bill be now read a second time.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohammed Tahir Mongono. I represent Martin Mongono, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby move that a bill for an act to repeal the Export Prohibition Act, Cap 122, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters, House Bill 29, be read the second time. I so move.
Is Honorable Kila here? Honorable Kila, please second the motion if you're here. Okay, Honorable Rotimi, can you second the motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dear colleagues, my name is Prince Rotimi Agusoye, representing Koshofe Federal Constituency of Lagos. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Mongono. I so second.
Honorable Mongono, please lead the debate.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, this bill speaks for itself. It's res ipsa loquitur, in the sense that, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, to refresh your memory, human memory being momentary, it's a well-known fact that this government is not only preaching the gospel of diversification of the Nigerian economy away from oil to agriculture, but is also taking concrete steps towards realizing that noble objective of not only creating the much needed employment for our teeming unemployed youths by way of making them to embrace agriculture as a means of livelihood, but also by way of diversifying the economy with a view to earning the much needed foreign exchange to boost our external reserve and also to deploy the much needed resources with a view to bridging our infrastructure gap that we have in this country. Against this backdrop, government has taken a lot of steps towards boosting agriculture. And a lot of young men and women have embraced agriculture as a means of livelihood, and farming being the only type of work that is allowed to all and sundry by virtue of our constitution, a lot of people have gone back to the farm and have embraced agriculture. The multiplier effect that this singular policy of government of diversifying the economy away from oil to agriculture, against the backdrop and the knowledge of the fact that oil is a finite resource, is going to finish one day. But agriculture is going to last ad infinitum. And because of that, a lot of people have embraced agriculture as a result of the incentives given to the farmers. And Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the law is not an ass. A law is not supposed to be static. As Udo Udoma, JSC of blessed memory said, that a law is like an organic document that is supposed to change with changing times to reflect the existing objective and subjective realities of a society at any given point in time. It was against this backdrop that this bill is sponsored with a view to repealing this act that seeks to prohibit and even sanction those that have engaged in exportation of beans, maize, yam, cassava, to life imprisonment, very strict punishment. And as a result of the diversification of the economy and the support given to Nigerians by the government, a lot of these foodstuffs have been produced, and farmers are now already exporting this foodstuff out of Nigeria. They are earning more income. We have created employment to our team unemployed youth, and we are getting the much needed resource that is boosting our foreign reserve with a view to deploying it to our much needed infrastructure deficit. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am only inviting this House to do the needful, because already these foodstuffs are being exported outside the country. But there is a law that is already in existence that seeks to prohibit the exportation of this food and even prescribe a punishment of life imprisonment. And this law was enacted during the military era, because laws that are enacted during the military area, as a result of austerity measures and what have you. But now we are in a democracy and times have changed, and laws are supposed to reflect changing times. So it was against this background that, Mr. Speaker, we sponsored this bill so that the law is going to be in tandem with the existing reality that we have as a nation, so that this foodstuff will be exported, and then we'll get the much needed income, and then our farmers will not be in the breach of this law. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Jimmy Benson, please. Your contribution. You can come and use the same mic that the whip used. It will work today. It must work.
I didn't raise my hand, sir.
Huh?
I didn't raise my hand, sir.
No, I know you didn't. But I know you are versed in. Do you know the issue he's talking about?
Also,
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
supports his view, sir, that there shouldn't be a ban. There should be a ban on the export of this cash crop, sir. That the exportation should be prohibited for now, sir.
Oh, why? Why?
Because there's a law against it, sir.
See, the person you were talking to is running away. The chairman walks. Chairman, you see, he's running away. Okay, Osai, it's all right, don't worry. You have made your point. Osai, I have made my point.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. When I say the current speaker is highly deep in knowledge of the legislature and institution, there's no gainsaying about it. And I like sometimes you make us to work and to pay attention to what is being discussed. That's on a lighter note. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, I think I wholeheartedly support this bill. And this bill intends to bring about multiplier effects in our economy. Why do I say so? A farmer takes the pain in making sure he takes virtually all the season to farm, borrowed money from the bank, invest money to produce crops like maize, to produce yam tubers, to produce cassava. Today, Nigeria is the highest producer of cassava, but we cannot export it. It then means our farmers are being shortchanged. It then means we are losing hard-earned incomes in terms of high currencies, in terms of dollar, in terms of pounds, in terms of euros, in terms of yen. These are issues we want to expose our farmers to. And when you expose the farmer, that come across even the issues Honorable Konta is bringing later in the day on the bill of exportation. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I think we should encourage and make sure that our farmers export crops like cassava in terms of that, even adding value chain. The value chain on cassava will be able to increase more jobs opportunity for our teaming youth. When we have value chains on even yam, it will be a multiplier effect in the sense that our youth will be gainfully employed in the value chain. The value chain of maize is amazing. It's amazing in the sense that they are byproducts of many products. So in this case, Mr. Speaker, I think Mongono, who have been an agriculturist, an institution in agricultural sectors, must be praised for bringing this bill. Mr. Speaker, and I believe that this bill is well intended, and I agree wholeheartedly with argument proposed by the proponent, that is the mover of this bill. I agree with him in totality, and we don't even need to waste much time in passing this bill with the speed of light it requires. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Adiogo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Ade Adiogo. I speak for the good people of Akoko Southeast Southwest Federal Constituency of Oyo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to commend Honorable Monguno for this bill. And it's one of those military-era bills that have been overtaken by events. And it's kind of funny that a few years ago, the Minister of Agriculture actually supervised the export of yam, not knowing that he was committing a criminal act. Perhaps if the law had been enforced, he would have been serving a lifetime jail sentence now. Mr. Speaker, going through the act that the bill proposes to repeal, you look at funny things about life imprisonment for exploitation of yam or its derivatives. It kills initiatives. It kills everything that farmers do. And so I want to lend my voice to the repeal of the act and to the passage of this bill into law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Labonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Udoma Kim Abonta. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, returning this law that Honorable Mogru wants to repeal in our laws will amount to economic sabotage. Because I say so because if you look at the ills the said act has come to cure, it no longer exists in our system. Therefore, it will amount to economic sabotage to restrict earning of income. Mr. Speaker, we've been fighting hard to diversify our economy. Then why are we also going to use our laws to restrict the diversification? I don't know what I would do if I sit out here. I may decide to farm plantain and export it, and the law says I can't export it. I'll be tied to some issues. Mr. Speaker, it's interesting to know that Nigerian yams are now being taken to Ghana and from Ghana to US because we can't export freely here. We smuggle to Ghana and the Ghanaians will now earn the money directly. Therefore, I should think that in line with liberalization, we should quickly create this enabling act Logan is asking for and release all the list of banned products to be exportable. Mr. Speaker, we are seeking for a way to create even commodity exchange that will handle exportation, marketing. We'll be shortchanging the farmer who relies on large-scale production. Meanwhile, we'll be buying rice products of other countries. Are we saying that should we hit our target in rice production, we cannot extend to other countries? How are we going to get the money? Therefore, I should think that this is one of the bills that Mr. Speaker must fast track in ending my debate and support to it. I will not only ask that this bill be done the second reading, but will suggest and strongly suggest that Mr. Speaker should commit it to the committee of the whole House that we should do the needful. Mr. Speaker, it is the right time we will do something revolutionary or we will face revolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Last speaker from this column.
Mr. Speaker and fellow honorable members, my names are Honorable Anthony Ife Afe, member representing Oakwood, Sapele and Kuria Federal Constituency from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, you agree with me that this bill is timely. Before now, we'll be dealing on oil. But with this present government policy, we're now into mechanization of agriculture. Mr. Speaker, you also agree with me that before now, most of our agricultural products are limited because our farmers were peasants. And that's led to the policy or the announcement of the provision of export products for cash crops. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you, many Nigerians are not into agricultural export. I'll give an example. About 3 years ago, Nigeria went to yam exportation. We all know, and those that travel out, that they have a yam depot in London. Presently, the yam they export, because of the provision, they now pass our yams through other West African countries to the UK. I know a law that is not, or does not stand the test of time, must be repealed. So this law, or this bill, seeks to the law on provision to be repealed. If it's repealed, sir, many people will expand their farmland, not only getting money internally from Nigerians here or Nigerian market, you also have the seed to export their agricultural products. So this bill is timely, Mr. Speaker. We all know that we need foreign exchange back for our economy. Our economy needs a lot of revenue from other countries. I know some countries in this world, they don't have oil, but agricultural produce. So, Mr. Speaker, if this bill is repealed, I know it will increase our foreign reserve. In that note, Mr. Speaker, I support and also appreciate the presenter of this bill that is timely and also it will increase our productivity and increase our income. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sada.
Mr. Speaker, let me play. My name is Sada Soli Jibia, representing Jibia Kaita Federal Constituency from Katsina State. Mr. Speaker, I have read this law, this act. I think the intentment of this act was to strengthen our food security at the time it was enacted. At present, let me ask, Mr. Speaker, are we sure we can guarantee Nigerian food security? What is food security? What is our food reserve in 90 days? If we say we should leave, we should repeal this act, let loose everything we produce, let it go without any regulation. Why do we have export promotion councils? Why do we have other legislations or other regulations that will regulate what we export or what we import? I think, Mr. Speaker, yes, it will boost the economy. It will give our farmers or our business people more money. But then we have to look at the challenge on the food security of Nigeria. I think that was the intentment of this act. If we repeal it, what is our backstop? What is our backstop? We know we know how big this country is. We know the kind of porous borders we have in these countries. What are we trying to encourage? Mr. Speaker, you can attest to the fact that there was a time the federal government lifted the ban of exportation of yams. What happened? I think at the end, these yams was returned. Even at the moment, the European Union does not accept some of our products because we have not met the quality of these things. So what we should do is get laws that will strengthen what we produce, that will be accepted somewhere in some other places, and then that will guarantee the food security of this country. Mr. Speaker, we're getting to the population of about 200 million people. I don't think we have sufficient maize in this country to export. I don't think so. I don't think we have sufficient beans in this country to export. I know we import beans from Niger Republic and Burkina Faso. So I think this act or this legislation was meant to protect the food security of Federal Republic of Nigeria. But yes, we can do anything. That's why we have Export Promotion Council. It is there to help, assist those that have something to export, but not just to let everything we have to be exported. So I think there is need for this House to look at this law again, not to repeal it, not just to repeal it. If we repeal it, we will expose our food security initiatives of policy a lot of shenanigans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gagdi.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Yusuf Adamu Gagdi. I represent Panshinkanke Kanam. I'm from Plateau State, Mr. Speaker. Ordinarily, Mr. Speaker, I would have my reservations on this proposed repeal regarding to this act. But because it is not a new bill, Mr. Speaker, I think I will not in any way differ with the intention of Honorable Mangunu to adjust this act. But be that it may, Mr. Speaker, new bills that seems to duplicate responsibility of existing agencies need not to be encouraged. But adjusting our existing laws that sound weak, that does not equate the contemporary challenge regarding to the food security, like my elder brother did mention, it's very, very important and very necessary. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that in the course of making submission regarding to either supporting or against or going contrary to the repeal, I want to say that any suggestion, not only on this bill, on any bill, that seems to tamper with the functions of any existing agency, we need not to allow some of those things to go unchecked. There is a need for us to make comparison so that we will not at the end of the day set one agency against another. But food security, Mr. Speaker, is something that we want and is something that Nigerians will want from this 9th National Assembly. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, if a repeal is intended towards prohibiting some of the food commodities that are being exported out of the country, I will support that, not at the risk of allowing any repeal to pretend over the function of any other agency. So, Mr. Speaker, in summary, I wish to say that I'm in support of this act to repeal the Export Prohibition Act, Cap E22 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so that it will guarantee our farmers, the people that produce some of those commodities, from having a market that they could sell their own commodity. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make contribution.
Okay, last speaker, Honorable Alabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Akin Alabi. I'm representing the good people of Egbeda on our federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. This bill is one of the bills or a decision you call a no-brainer. Something that shouldn't face much resistance. We've talked about the advantages, earning of foreign exchange, which we know is the #1 factor that can strengthen the Naira. We've talked about encouragement of farmers. More people are going to get encouraged to go into farming, we know that. Then apart from farmers directly, more industries will thrive because of this. Logistics, haulage, transportation, they are all going to thrive because there are more farmers. And those that were thinking of not becoming farmers now, seeing the opportunities in this, more farmers will come through. Now, that's going to mean more jobs. And for a lot of people, even in government, don't know how jobs are created. A lot of people feel jobs are created just by employing more teachers, more civil servants. Yeah, that's just a little part of it. But how many people can you employ to the civil service? You are just going to bloat the civil service and you won't be able to pay salaries as we are seeing all over the country. But this is, most people are employed in medium and small scale businesses. And the more you encourage businesses to thrive, that is how more people will get jobs and will reduce the issue of scarcity of jobs in Nigeria. Now, I understand this school of thought and I understand my honorable colleagues that are saying that this can threaten the food security in Nigeria. I respectfully disagree. That is not how market forces work in business. Because there's an opportunity to export doesn't mean there's not going to be anything for us locals to consume. More people will come into the market to start producing and exporting these things, and there will be others that will see that as some people are targeting the international market, they will be targeting the local market, and more people will keep coming. Some are exporting, some are producing locally. That is how market forces work. You don't force things. You don't say you don't export because we want locally, or you don't import because we want to export. Costa Rica sent a lot of bananas to the UK. Doesn't mean banana supply is in shortfall in South American countries. So market forces will play out at the end of the day. So I will really urge this House to really pass this bill to the next stage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Yogo. You have an amendment. Oh, it's a bill. Sorry. Whose amendment did you bring? It's a bill. There's no amendment now. A question. Those in support of that the bill be read a second time, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Somebody raising a point of order. Of order? What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I remain Honorable Vala Ike, a member representing Njikoka and Ochadunukope Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I think it will be against the rule of the House for me to continue since you've ruled. But, you know, for mere mentioning, if you don't mind, with your, if I can engrave your indulgence, I just wanted to say that there seems not to be equal division in terms of those who are for, who are speaking in favor, and those who are speaking against. I think Soli Sada almost only is the one that spoke against. And my position, I wanted to also, you know, put up my own position against the bill itself. But since you've ruled, Mr. Speaker, I have to align.
Thank you, Honorable. I'll call it observation, even though it's in our rules. The observation is noted because you did not cite the order upon which you are bringing, and the proper procedure is to cite the order first. So you just delve straight into the issue. So I will take it as an observation. Noted. Those in favor that the bill be read a second time, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.
honorable members, this one act to repeal the Export Prohibition Act Cap E22, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill is referred to the Committee on Commerce. Honorable colleagues, it's 2:30. Even though we can move, we can ask the leader to move for a motion to extend our time, but because of other issues, I want to plead with Honorable Osai to please allow us to defer all other matters till tomorrow. I apologize, please, but even the clerk is losing concentration. So let me just quickly read out the list of the ad hoc committee on the PNID investigation. Honorable Fulata, Honorable Julius Yovere, Honorable Koko, Honorable Henry Wauba, Honorable Ali Ahmed, Chairman Public Procurement, Honorable Shehu Balarabe, Honorable Bello Kauje, Honorable Magaji Dao, Honorable Bamidele Yusuf, Honorable Dr. Achibong, Honorable Sada Soli, Honorable Uju Kingsley, Honorable Deidere, Honorable Luke Onofiok, Honorable Ben Kalu, Honorable Namdas, Honorable Oshoba, Honorable Jimmy Benston, Honorable Amoumi Olubumi, Honorable Olododo Cook. The committee will be chaired by Honorable Sada Soli. Honorable Bamidele Yusuf.
Mr. Speaker, I noticed that my name was announced as Honorable Bamidele Yusuf, and it's about the second time this was happening, sir.
Honorable Bamidele Salam, sorry. I told you the clerk was tired. Can we move forward, adjournment?
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby move that the House do adjourn to Wednesday, to Thursday, the 19th of September 2019 by 11 a.m. I so move.
Leader of the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Didi Godwin Edmelu, and I represent the Good School of Anyoche Shulu Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. I second the motion moved by the Chief Whip of the House that will adjourn till tomorrow. I so second.
Those in support that we stand adjourned till tomorrow, 11 a.m., please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.